Good Sunday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Sunday. I am your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson. Let's go ahead and talk about the weather for your Sunday evening going into your future. We have a lot, and when I say a lot, we have a lot to talk about tonight. Starting off first, we're obviously going to talk about what's going on with the short term first. We're going to talk about what's going on with which if I go in and get it, there it is right there. We're going to talk about the warming trend as we continue through. We're going to talk about this week's forecast as well. The week forecast for the week of August the 10th going through August the 16th. And then we're also going to potentially be talking about that tropical activity. And for the most part, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. If you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button, make sure you're going to do so and hit the share button as well. Share it with all the people that you know. We are trying to get to 600 subscribers. We have 562. We are 38 subscribers away from that main goal. 38 subscribers away from that main goal. And we are 13 away from that halfway mark of 575. So now we've talked about that. Let's go on and talk about what's going on right now, currently. Currently, we do in fact have some shower and downpour activity going on that goes all the way from the Midlands down into the Low Country, also inside of the PD and Grand Strand over there towards Loris, Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach as well. And if you can look at the thunder probability or the lightning probability, you see that you're not seeing a whole lot right now. I mean, yes, you do have some over here near Loris and like North Myrtle Beach, but it's only like a 6% chance of lightning occurring within that storm right now. So honestly, it's not looking like we're having too much thunderstorm activity throughout the state right now. But if we look at what's going on throughout the entire U.S., rainfall going on in Georgia, with some flooding going on in Florida, rainfall also going on in Iowa, in Illinois, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Kansas, we have some severe weather. In Missouri, we have some rainfall with some storms going on over here. And if you go on over here towards Colorado, we have some storm activity over here in Nebraska, down into Arizona, New Mexico, and western Texas. We have some rainfall going on over there, and even in eastern Texas as well. Now, for our current cloud cover for now, it looks like that we are mostly covered with clouds right now as we speak. Clouds going on in the Midlands, the Low Country, the PD, and the Upstates getting on some cloud cover as well. So, for the most part, we're still keeping those cloudy conditions, and that will continue as we continue our way through tonight, going into tomorrow morning. This is 7 o'clock in the morning when my morning forecast update comes out. You can see that there is indeed cloud cover taking over the entire state. Yes, you have a couple of clear spots, but for the most part, it's cloudy. And this is like tomorrow evening right here. You see, again, a little bit of some clearing, but it's not too much. Now, this is our current temperatures right now, 74 in Columbia as well as 75 in Orangeburg, 75 in Somerville as well as 76 in Charleston, 74 in Hartsville, Florence, 75 in Georgetown, 74 in Conway, and 76 in Myrtle Beach, and even North Myrtle Beach as well, 75 inside of Aiken as well as even 76 in Anderson, 77 in Clemson, and 75 in Greenville, 76 in Spartanburg, 76 in Gaffney, 75 in York. Now for our low temperatures for tonight, 70 in Greenville, 70 in Spartanburg, 70 in Rock Hill, 70 inside of Winsboro, 72 in Columbia, and 72 in Sumter, 72 in Moncks Corner, and 72 in Walterboro, 76 in Charleston, 77 in Hilton Head Island, 70 in Aiken, 73 in Georgetown, 75 in Myrtle Beach. For your rainfall, you can see a good amount of rainfall is expected as we move through tonight going into tomorrow night. A tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch is possible inside of Spartanburg. And that goes for some other regions as well that may not be highlighted. Hilton Head Island is one of them. Quarter of an inch to a half an inch for Greenville, going into Anderson, going into Greenwood, Columbia, Aiken, Cheraw. All these places have a chance for a quarter of an inch to a half an inch to occur. Then you have a half an inch to an inch possible in Winsboro, Camden's included, Orangeburg, Charleston, Moncks Corner, Walterboro, and Barnwell all have that chance for a half an inch to an inch to occur. And some other locations as well. Florence is included, Kingstree is included, Georgetown. is included. Then you have an inch to an inch and a half, which you're not seeing any located, no, and not any highlighted located areas. Like you can see around like the yellow, that dark green over there near Myrtle Beach, which Myrtle Beach does have an inch and a half to 2 inches of rainfall, and somebody over there may even get an isolated 2 to 3 inches over there near the South Carolina North Carolina border. And one thing that I do want to say before we continue with this is that with thunderstorms going on, thunderstorms can increase the amount of rainfall that you get. So don't take these precipitations just as gospel and just be like, okay, well, I guess this is going to be my precipitation as we move through, because it might be less and it might be more. It just matters on how those shower and thunderstorm activity moves, and just what happens with it, especially with those thunderstorms. Like I said, they can intensify. They can drop a lot more rain than we think. And so we just have to continue to watch. And especially if you're inside that flash flooding risk, you have to watch for that for sure. But talking about the SPC outlook, last time that I checked, everyone had a chance for a thunderstorm, and it still seems like that now. They did kind of decrease it a little bit, like you can see in Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia. Kind of take it out of those regions a little bit more, and now it's just like South Carolina. But the main part is for us, everyone has a chance for a thunderstorm inside of South Carolina as we move through tonight. As we move into tomorrow, same thing. Everyone has a chance for a thunderstorm again tonight, tomorrow night as well, tomorrow night, and even into Tuesday as well. Tuesday, we have a chance for a thunderstorm. So not only do you have to watch out for thunderstorms tonight, not only do you have to watch out for thunderstorms on Monday, but also on Tuesday as well. So make sure that you are paying attention for those thunderstorms, because everyone has a shot. The ingredients are there. If you get the rainfall, you can potentially get the thunder and the lightning. Now for excessive rainfall, I don't know why this thing does this to me. Like this, let's see if it wants to work. Of course it doesn't, because it doesn't like me, apparently. But let me see if I can go to this real quick, which it seems like I can. So I'm going to move this over here. We're going to talk about just excessive rainfall like this, how we used to do it. You can see that we did have that slight risk of excessive rainfall. Now this goes all the way through tonight, going into tomorrow morning for our Monday. And not surprised, not really too surprised at all. Slight risk that goes from Florence down through the entire Grand Strand region, the entire Low Country is included, the Southern Midlands is included, and a marginal risk that goes all the way over here, the Savannah Riverside, all the way through to Greenwood, Aikens included, Columbia, Rock Hill, and over here towards Pageland, Bennettsville, Hartsville, Darlington, Bishopville. All of those places have a chance for some isolated flash flooding. Now tomorrow, Monday morning going into Tuesday morning, we do have a slight risk of excessive rainfall that is in effect. That is for like western Charleston County going into eastern Colleton County, through this Tri-County region, through towards Andrews, Georgetown, and up towards Loris and that South Carolina, North Carolina border. Well, everyone else has a chance for some isolated flash flooding. So if you're in the yellow, scattered flash flooding. If you're in the green, isolated flash flooding. Now for Tuesday morning going into Wednesday morning, we get a little bit of a break over here near the coastal regions, also inside the Midlands and the PD region, but up here inside the upstate's getting themselves some more action as you move into Tuesday going into Wednesday, as isolated flash flooding is again possible from Anderson going up into Greenville, up into Spartanburg. For day 4, same thing pretty much. Upstate, same thing, going into the far upstate all the way over towards Greenville and Spartanburg. And then day 5, you're just going to have to look at this one down here. But day 5, it takes over a good amount of the state. That includes the entire upstate, mainly all of the Midlands, and that western PD region, or just most of the PD, not including the Grand Strand. Low Country is out of it for now, and the Southern Midlands are as well. But that's for Thursday going into Friday. So that's it for excessive rainfall. I mean, for the most part, we just have to watch for a lot of these regions, as there already is some flood watches that are out, like in the Low Country, for example, and in the Grand Strand region, as it expires in 21 minutes. It just says through late tonight. It didn't really put a huge emphasis on when, but it expires in 20 minutes. This is actually issued last night at around 2 a.m. They issued this flood watch here, and it was for, obviously, the ground was already wet from a lot of rainfall that went through, and then more bands of rainfall moved in today, and that's why we had flood watches. We had flood advisories as well over here for like North Myrtle Beach going into Atlantic Beach and Hand, South Carolina. That's for like another 50 minutes. And then it's pretty much just for 2 to 4 inches of rain has already fallen, and an additional 1 inch of rainfall is possible. So that's what's going on for them, and that expires in like the next 50 minutes. So that's it for excessive rainfall, what we can expect there. Let's go on and talk about the models. So the models right here, we're going to go on and look at this one because I was messing with them a little bit earlier. But I'll go on and switch back over to the HRRR. But over here you can see the times in the top right. Yes, the top right corner of your screen. Make sure that you go in and pay attention to that as we go on and push this forward. So starting off here, 4-hour models at 9 o'clock p.m. You can see all this rainfall and downpour activity that is ongoing. If you continue to push this forward all the way to 12 o'clock in the morning at midnight tonight, rainfall will still be ongoing, especially up there near Horry County and Georgetown as well. You also do have some rainfall, scattered, isolated to scattered rainfall from the low country all the way up into the Midlands. That will, continue to kind of lessen itself out while over there in the PD region, there still will be receiving that rainfall for a good amount of time. And then you have some from the south. Look down there near the Georgia-South Carolina border at 4 o'clock in the morning. That will move its way up into that southern Midland area. And by 9 a.m., we'll do 7 a.m. because this is when my morning video comes out. Still have that rainfall activity going on. Pretty much in almost every region has some type of rainfall or precipitation moving throughout. Rather just be just regular rainfall or thunderstorms or whatever it may be. That will continue all the way to noon. Noon, we have a whole kind of like line that's moving north from as far west as Anderson all the way towards like Georgetown, for example. And that will even go down again still in the low country by around noon. And then we get to 1 p.m. and we still have this line that's moving north. And we have another one right behind it as well, moving right back into that lower low country area. Now we're going to continue through even more and start back right here at 2 o'clock. And you can see that overall that line has now kind of moved its way through a little bit more. And then there goes that second area, moving its way again through the Midlands, through the Tri-County region, and even the upstate getting in on some rainfall as well. By 9, 10, and 11 o'clock p.m. tomorrow night, it looks like still rainfall will be ongoing. But then we're going to take a little bit of a breather and a little bit of a break for the rainfall by around like 2, 3 a.m. And even going around 6, 7 a.m., yes, there still will be some rainfall for sure. But it's going to be a lot more isolated and a lot more scattered. Even by 2 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, going to be just a lot more in the isolated to scattered region. So that's it for our short term in terms of the models. Let's go and look at the long term. So we're going to move on and check this out. And, we're really just going to look at patterns, just see what we can see here. But you can see a low pressure kind of takes place. It seems to be like going into like later this week. And it brings probably a lot of rainfall with it. This is August the 16th on Saturday. Where you can see a good amount of rainfall could potentially be going through. Even all the way into around August the 17th, we could have some more rainfall moving through. Could be heavy, and that might cause some more excessive rainfall just as we continue to move through this week going into next week. Then it seems like we have like a coastal low kind of makes its way from Florida up towards us on August the 19th, and it brings a good amount of precipitation as well, kind of just trains over some of these areas, and it'll move its way up to the north and east by around August the 22nd and the 23rd, and then overall, I mean, it just stays relatively on the, still kind of on the active side once we get past the 300-hour mark, but it seems like things might be calming down a little bit as we go into like the very late part of August. We'll see what that has to bring the closer we get, because obviously we're still almost 400 hours out, so we really still can't say anything about that right now. But for the most part, it's still looking like that it is still going to be active. There are going to be some days to where there's not going to be too much excessive rainfall, and there's going to be some days to where you might have excessive rainfall possible for almost the whole state. But we're getting back into that summer pattern. And speaking of the summer pattern, we will be talking about the week forecast as well, and we'll talk about the anomalies as well, and the temperature anomalies and what's going on for the temperatures this week. But before we get into that, we got to get into one of the big reasons for why most people are here tonight, and that's for the tropics. That is for the tropics. We'll get back to, I said, to the temperatures, but the tropics is probably one of the main reasons why mostly everyone's here tonight, and that's just because we have this area inside the red. That is disturbance number one. We just go in order. I usually just go in order, and since this is disturbance number one, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this one first. But we're gonna talk about it. Says quotes. Shower and thunderstorms continue to show signs of organization in association with a well-defined low-pressure area located over the eastern portion of the Cabo Verde Islands. Only a small increase in the organization could lead to the formation of a tropical depression as the low continues moving across the Cabo Verde Islands tonight and on Monday. Regardless of development, locally heavy rainfall and gusty winds are expected to continue tonight and on Monday across the Cabo Verde Islands, and interest there should monitor the progress of the system. Even if a tropical depression does not form over the next day or so, environmental conditions appear conducive for later development, and a tropical depression or tropical storm is expected to form. Let me read that again. A tropical depression or a tropical storm is expected to form by the middle to latter portion of this week, while moving west to west-northwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour across the eastern and the central tropical Atlantic. So this has a 60% chance of forming over the next 48 hours and a high 90% chance of forming over the next 7 days. So you heard it. A tropical storm is expected as we move through. And honestly, in my opinion, I think that a hurricane is definitely likely. And a strong one at that. I've already seen people posting saying a very strong hurricane definitely is possible. And they're not wrong. A very strong hurricane is possible. Now, like I said, where is it going to go? We still don't know. We're still too far out to say exactly. So I think once we get to the point to where it's formed and we get more to like the midweek and even into the end of this week, we will have a better opportunity to say exactly where it will go. But for right now, all I will say on this is that a hurricane is likely to form. Where will it go? Will it hit Florida? Will it hit South Carolina? Will it hit up there in the Northeast? Will it just curve out and hit nobody? We don't know yet. But we can go on and see what's going on with it right now. So we're gonna go over here to the current storms, and we're gonna go over to 97L. So this is what this storm looks like right now. I guess really just a disturbance, but this is what the disturbance looks like right now. You can see that it does show a lot of organization. This is a lot more organization that it showed yesterday. With kind of like shower and thunderstorm activities scattered around a lot more. Now you can see that it's a lot more organized now, and obviously that is what was expected to happen, and it just keeps on organizing more and more and more, and we just continue to watch for it and to see, it could form tomorrow, it could form potentially on Tuesday, it could form on Wednesday, it could just form any of these days, but most people probably think it will form either on tomorrow or Tuesday, most likely, in my opinion, probably on Monday or Tuesday. But again, in the discussion, they say that they said that even if a tropical depression does not form over the next day or so, environmental conditions appear conducive for later development for the middle to latter portion of this week. So I mean, it can form as early as tomorrow, or as late as later this week. Late this week, honestly, I should say, at the latter portion. So it could form either time. Now, what are the models saying for it? We're going to look at the hurricane models first. This is what the hurricane models say right here. Again, doesn't go out that far. Doesn't show us, anything according to the U.S. or near the U.S. at all. just shows down here near like Puerto Rico, the Leeward Islands, and just to the north of South America. But it's going to continue to move its way, and you can see the curvage started to happen. And you see some late, curving late. You see some curving more early. You have some right dead in the middle. And that's because there's still a lot of uncertainty on when it will curve. Because when it does curve is going to tell a lot. That will tell a lot. Because if it curves late, it will have the more chance to most likely impact us. If it curves early, obviously, it will go further away from us. So the earlier that it curves, the more of a chance that it has to not hit us. But this is just the hurricane models right here. If you go to the GFS one, this one again all over the place, while the median of it kind of goes not too close. You look at that black line in the middle. You still have some outliers saying that's going to go a little bit more down to the south, and you have some that's saying that it's going to go more to the north. If you go into the GEPS, so this is the European one, this one shows a little bit more of a bigger look, and it does show again that median line going kind of close, which if this was to occur like this, it most likely would cause some rip currents, dangerous surf conditions, especially if some of these closer ones get there. You have one, trailing off towards Florida. You have some going completely off course and not impacting land at all. Now for intensity, like I said, a hurricane is probably likely, if not expected, to form. Just as most models have it becoming a hurricane. Yes, you have one or two down here that are kind of just down. So, I guess it's not impossible if models are saying it. But for the most part, most models are saying that it will become a hurricane. But just for the sake of wording, I'll say that a hurricane is likely to form, especially as we get through to really like the next 60, 70, 80 hours. Maybe even going to 90 hours-ish. And some even say it will get up to major hurricane status. Major hurricane is Category 3, Category 4. And that's what most have it getting up to, was Category 3, Category 4 strength. So this one could potentially, like I said, very possible. It is very possible that this could potentially get to major hurricane status and cause some problems. But in terms of just where it goes, you just don't know we just don't know just now. We can go on and look at other models as well and see what they have to say. But they're still going to be all over the place. Going over here to the northern Atlantic, we're just going to show it on here. But you can see, obviously, there it is right down here. If you go on and push this forward, you can see that it continues to kind of move its way up. This is the GFS, the one that we just looked at around like 5-7 minutes ago. And the GFS has it curving pretty early and getting it out of here pretty early. But one thing I also do want you to look at is just look at how many waves come behind it as well. You have this one kind of right there. You have this next one coming off. You have more and more waves coming off of Africa, and that's what's going to continue. Obviously, just these area of interest that will just come right after one after another, and even the one that occurs right after it exits our coast on around like August the 19th. We could have a low pressure there. That was the one I was talking about. It kind of just goes away. It doesn't really do too much, but it's there. But that's the GFS one right there again. This is the Euro one. This one shows that this storm will again get a little bit closer and maybe have some impacts up there in the northeast and in Canada, but again moves its way off and does not cause too much. But it shows another little area down here as well that could potentially come through right after. And it's not the only one saying that. There could potentially be another one after this big one right here moves away. That's the Euro right there. This is the CMC, which you can see this one has the same type of scenario, has it more to the east, not quite towards South Carolina, but it's still at least a good 300-400 miles still to our east. And then that's it. That's pretty much it for those models. And there's one more actually. No, there's one more that I can show. Two more that I can show. This is the Icon right here. This one, I believe, has it going over and again just staying out to sea and not doing too much for us there. But the last one that I wanted to show, this is the ECAIFS This is one that I believe has probably the most aggressive one and takes that very southern track and goes down towards like the Bahamas, for example, causes stuff over there, goes towards Florida, and becomes a pretty strong hurricane and then goes right over there near South Carolina. So there are models for sure that are saying that it will hit South Carolina. Now, will it? Again, we don't know, but there are models saying that it goes straight up towards Georgia, towards South Carolina, towards North Carolina, towards Virginia, for example, and even rides the coast all the way up into the Northeast. And that's not the only one as well. You can see the one right behind it. I was talking about how the Euro was not the only one that was talking about, just another area of interest behind it, because you have this one right here that could potentially do the exact same thing if the models align, if they do align. So we'll continue to watch for especially that one in the back as well, but obviously the one in the front is obviously the one that we're most focused on right now. So that's it for really the tropics. I mean, I can show, well, actually, hold on, I have one more thing. I can show this right here. This is the low pressure map as we move through the next 10 days or so. And again, you can see most of them have it going down, most of them going up, curving up before it reaches us over here in South Carolina, while some stragglers stay down over toward like Florida and in the Gulf, for example. So the main thing that you should take away, in my opinion, the main thing that you should take away is that it is just still too far out and that we still just have to wait and see what happens. But that's it for the tropics, though. Nothing else really for me to say there. Let's go on now and talk about the crazy score. The crazy score for tonight, we're at a 28. We are inside of the mild category, slightly breezy or cloudy, but no major concerns. I'm thinking about moving the crazy score up a little bit more since we talk about it so late. I might move it up probably to around like after we're done talking about maybe like the excessive rainfall before we talk about the models or anything like that, because it's just for tonight. It's not for the future. So, but it's a 28 for tonight inside the mild category, cloudy, probably the main concern, and then that flood watch is still there. Patchy fog also as we move through tonight into tomorrow morning. So that's it for the crazy score. So let's go on and talk about this week's forecast, and then we'll go in and talk with the audience. But let's talk about this week's forecast first. We're going to look over here into the eastern U.S. and we're going to talk about the temperature models for right now. But just going on right now and looking at the average temperatures for this week, it is actually looking like it will be warmer as we go through. And actually, I think I was looking at the wrong one. I was. So this one's the correct one. But still, it's still warmer this week. It will be warmer than average, especially as we get into midweek, because as we get into midweek, temperatures will start rising again. We're going to get out of this cooler than average region once we get into around that as early as Tuesday, maybe even going into Wednesday for most of us, and Thursday for sure. So make sure that you are prepared for that. And then if we go into precipitation as well, we also will be above average in terms of precipitation. That's not really too surprising at all. And this does help, even though that there is no drought going on right now throughout the entire U.S. Not throughout the entire U.S., but throughout the entire state. It will still help for sure with some areas that do need the rainfall up there in the abnormally dry, or maybe if you just have not seen rain at your house in a hot minute and you just want some. But that's it for just the averages for now. You can go on right now and look at my screen. You can go on and look at the amount of rainfall that we will receive for the next 7 days, starting off here. For the next 7 days, you can see this goes all the way through to Sunday at 8 o'clock p.m. Good amount of rainfall. Goes from an inch all the way up to potentially 3 to maybe even an isolated, like I said, 4 inches of rainfall earlier. That you just have to watch out, because these thunderstorms, they could potentially cause more rainfall than is modeled. But that's it for just the 7-day look. You can just look at your location here. Going on into now the temperature anomalies just for as we move through the week, just in terms of above average or below average. I'm going over here real quick and move on over here towards the southeast. You see, like I said, it starts off cooler, and that will continue again all the way through August the 12th, August the 13th. But then once we get into August the 13th, this Wednesday right here, things start to very much warm up. Yes, you do have some cool areas up there, like in the upstate, for example, but for the most part, it will start to warm up really quickly, really quickly. But then look at the end of the week as well. It starts to cool down even a little bit more as we get into the end of the week. So a little bit of some stuff midweek, but then it starts to cool down a little bit more as we get into even next week as well. And if we go in and look at the actual temperatures, I mean, yes, it still will be, like I said, in those 80, 70-degree marks, but for the most part, most of it is staying on the cooler side. But as you go into around like August the 22nd, that hot temperatures come back again, but especially as you get into like again those high 90s as you get into around August the 25th or so, even going into around the 26th. But those triple digit heat index values will for sure be back, especially on August the 15th. This is on Friday, with high temperatures going all the way up into the high 90s. So those 3-digit temperatures will potentially be back as we go through into later this week. But the weekend seems to cool down stuff a lot. That is it for just our forecast for this week. So let's go ahead and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9. Yes, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off first, with Mr. Chris, who says, good evening, everyone. Still raining here in Moncks Corner. Thank you so much for that update. Good evening to you. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe button. It would help the channel grow and get out to those who truly need it. Also, share it with everyone you know. Thank you so much for saying that as well, because we've had 45 people tune in tonight. Why do we only have 11 likes? I have no idea. 34 people came through and just did not hit the like button at all. I don't know what the problem is there. I don't know what's going on. But if you have not hit it, it's free. It takes only a second or two at most just to do so, and you can change your mind at any time. So just go on and hit the like button if you have not already. And like I said earlier, if you have not hit the subscribe button yet either, it's free. You can change your mind whenever you want to. Guaranteed there probably is somebody right now that's not subscribed right now. So just go on and hit it. It's quick and it's easy. Mr. Oliver says, good evening. On and off again, rain at my house. So glad the grass was cut yesterday. My HVAC has been pleased with the recent temperatures. Take that, Berkeley Electric. What's the 411 on the tropics? Well, first off, thank you so much for the weather update. I'm glad that your grass was cut. Berkeley Electric for sure definitely is upset right now, but they won't be too upset going into, like I said, midweek. But they might get a little bit upset as you go into like the later portion of the week, though. And then what's the 401 on the tropics? We did a huge deep dive on that, but you asked at 8:58, so I'm going to assume that you know what's going on with the tropics as of now. But I mean, if you still have any more questions, you still can ask me. My Nana says, hello, Jay. Hello to you. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Thad says, good evening, just if I trust all as well. It's still hot over here, in case you are wondering. Yeah, no, we know it is definitely still hot over there in San Antonio. I mean, y'all have high temperatures tomorrow at 98. And I believe the high temperatures for today was close to 100. So it still was close. It still is very hot. Trail says, greetings everyone, the weekend is over. I know, it's unfortunate. Rainy day here, but very productive. That is great to hear. My Aunt Lula says, good evening everyone, nephew. Good evening everyone. Nephew, we had so much rain last night and this morning. I almost need a boat to get to church. You know, with that flash flood risk, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Roads being flooded, rivers, streams, creeks, low-lying areas, poor drainage areas, flood-prone areas, all of these areas, due to just all this rainfall. I mean, you have wet grounds, and then with these thunderstorms moving in over and over again, I mean, off and on rain all day at my house as well. It wasn't the heaviest. It was not the heaviest in terms of rainfall, but it definitely was a good amount in terms of just the longevity of it. Mr. Oliver then says, is it typical to get this much rain in August? Well, I believe at the beginning of August. I can't remember. But I believe we were supposed to be above average in terms of rainfall for this August. But I mean, you also got to remember it's summertime as well, and then also with the CAD going on, that cold air damming going on, that also traps the moisture as well. That traps that cloudy conditions, and then that higher chance for some rainfall. And then also it's summer, so that will most likely kind of answer why it probably was above average just for August. But is it typical? I mean, it probably has happened before. It definitely has happened before. Even I believe last August, it was kind of like this as well, if I do remember correctly. But I mean, that's just summer. You get rainfall every single day or something. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's rare or anything like that. Now, for the cold temperature, that is kind of rare. With that cold air damming, that is kind of rare though, because you don't usually see that at this time. Dad says my grass is burnt. That is unfortunate. I mean, I know, obviously, with those high temperatures over there being up, and then those heat index values being even hotter as well, especially for this extended period of time. Luckily, in South Carolina, it wasn't too bad, but at least my grass wasn't. But for, I know over there, and especially since y'all are in a drought as well, that's definitely not too surprising. But unfortunately, it looks like that. I mean, like, I know only like tonight you only had like a 10% chance of rainfall. Not a lot. Not a lot at all. But speaking of, let's go on now and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. We talk about these locations because we have people, like you can see inside the chat, that are listening from San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Duncan, Oklahoma. Starting off with San Antonio first, with low temperatures tonight at 76, high temperatures tomorrow at 98, low temperatures tomorrow night at 76, and no precipitation is expected at all. No precipitation is expected at all through tonight and tomorrow. Now, if we go into severe weather, you do not have the threat for any sort of severe weather. You have no threat for any sort of severe weather, which is a good thing. And then for excessive rainfall, which let me go on real quick and refresh this because this website's always doing some crazy stuff. But for you tonight, going all the way through, no excessive rainfall is expected either, which obviously is good. It definitely would help, but obviously we never wish for flooding or anything like that. For Raleigh, with low temperatures tonight at 71, high temperatures tomorrow at 81, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 71. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms tonight. Patchy fog is also possible tonight and tomorrow, and showers are likely tomorrow during the day, and a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night. For excessive rainfall first, we're going to do excessive rainfall first. You do have a chance for some minor flooding. Tomorrow. And after that, you have another one on Thursday as well. So Thursday and tomorrow, you have a chance for some minor flooding or maybe even some isolated flash flooding. Going back into severe weather, no severe weather expected for you. Philadelphia being the third location with low temperatures tonight 64, high temperatures tomorrow at 90, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. No precipitation tonight and no precipitation tomorrow. Patchy fog is possible tomorrow though. In terms of excessive rainfall, you do in fact have no threat for any sort of excessive rainfall at all. For severe weather, there is also no threat for any sort of severe weather at all, so you're good there as well. And then the final location being Duncan, Oklahoma, with low temperatures tonight at 73, high temperatures tomorrow at 95, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 71. No precipitation tonight, but a slight chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. And then there also is a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night as well. And there is, right now, no threat for any sort of severe weather. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, let me go ahead and move on over there real quick. That's Kentucky. Over here into Oklahoma, there is indeed no threat for tonight, but tomorrow. Tomorrow, you do have a slight risk of excessive rainfall, meaning scattered flash flooding is possible tomorrow, and that's it. So that's pretty much all that I have to say there for those 4 locations there. What's going on throughout the entire U.S., just weather news-wise. Heavy to excessive rainfall is expected through tonight across most of the Central Plains. Areas of intense rainfall amounts could support increasing flooding concerns. Scattered severe thunderstorms are possible across parts of the Central/Southern Plains today and tonight, with large hail and damaging winds the main threat. Areas of extreme heat will impact the West this week, and heat will also impact the Northeast from the upstate of New York to western Vermont and Maine. We also do have some air quality alerts from the wildfires going on in Minnesota, also inside of the UP of Michigan. And then for just the other side, for the tropics as well, for like the Pacific, there is indeed still two storms out there. You have Hurricane Henriette that's going to move its way up and going to die out, as it's not really going to hit any land. And then Tropical Storm Ivo, again, that one's going to die out too. And that's it. I don't see anything else. So mainly the main areas that most people probably are watching for now is obviously in the Atlantic, where we have this one area that we obviously are watching for the most. And then Disturbance 2 is also over here, but that's probably not going to do anything. It has a 10% chance of forming over the next 48 hours and a 20% chance over the next 7 days. That's the one in the yellow. But it says some gradual development of the system is possible during the middle part of this week. So, I mean, still have to watch for it, I guess, for fish, but not for any sort of landfalling events for now. But I believe that is all that we have for tonight. Let me go in and check out the chat one more time. I don't see anything else. Again, I'm going to say it again. If you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button yet, make sure you go in and do so, and hit the share button as well. Share it with all the people that you know. We are at 563 subscribers, trying to get to 600. We are 37 subscribers away from that main goal of 600, and we are 12 away from that halfway point of 575. Top fans for tonight with Mr. Chris at number 1, Trail at 2, and Miss Tolliver at 3. So that is it for the top fans. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by just being here early and obviously being active inside of the chat. And then also congratulations to the 3 of y'all. I will be back tomorrow morning with your Monday morning forecast update to start off your week. This is probably the longest forecast I've done, at 42 minutes. But just a lot to unpack and just a lot of stuff to talk about, so that's why. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Sunday evening, and hopefully you have a great start to your week.